Hey Clashers, what are currently the top 5 strategies in the game? And to find the answer for that question, I've talked with pros, with top legend pushers, and I've actually looked at the numbers from the last season of the strategies which were used in higher legends. With all of that combined, I can safely say those now are the top 5 strategies. The strategy which just did not make it in here is the one-shot rocket loons, number 6 in my opinion. The number 5 strategy is Fireball Meteor Golems. Might be surprising to some, but actually getting used a ton in the higher ranks. When you actually know how to use it, this strategy is incredible. This armor composition is really close to the one which Name, the top legend pusher, is running, and a player who as well is challenging stars quite often with those top ranks. And that says a lot. So this strategy is really powerful. What the concept here is that you're starting things off with the Fireball to set up the pathing for the Meteor Golems. Something which I really liked about the approach from Name is that apparently he's using the Dragon Duke for the funneling part and then using the King more on the back end. And this is why he's bringing the stick horse with the Gauntlet. Which means we have now the Warden Walk in the beginning, as you usually do. For this one, we're just going for a Rage Tower compartment because those right now are really common, which makes the Fireball even stronger than it already is, which is kind of scary, not gonna lie. Like, this equipment is already so strong, and then the meta as well is like benefiting it. This is kind of insane. But you're having the Warden Walk, just making sure that, well, the Warden is doing Warden things, walking some part of the base, so you can set up the Fireball. For us right now, I want to have it done within 2 invis spells, if that's possible. That is like my goal. And with that, I have to wait for the Tesla to go down right now, using a totem to protect my Warden a bit better and make sure that he's not losing his life maybe too early. Well, that's at least what I'm trying. Now the Fireball, invis. Yeah, I have no clue how that Warden died, but something which I want to show you as well is that those top 5 strategies are here for a reason. Because they even work with something significant going wrong as your Warden going down early. Because the follow-up now is everything the same, which means everything we're doing right now will be the exact same with or without the Warden. The push right now will be just stronger because it would have the Rage Gem still left. But the approach here now is that putting the Meteor Golems in with the 2 throwers in behind, which I think is interesting, but having them in there. And now we have the Dragon Duke as a funnel. The King is more about the creativity when it comes down about like wherever there is support needed, you can just use him. For me, I just use him now to push everything back into the base on my flank. And the cool thing now about those flanking troops, or heroes to be more specific, is Dragon Duke ignores walls. The Baron King with the Stick Horse ignores walls. And then we have in the middle of the base, the Archer Queen with all of those Meteor Golems. The perfect split whatsoever. Like, it's just really, really nice combination. Next one now, we have the Overgrowth. We had the Overgrowth for the back end to make sure that there's less damage on our troops. The Archer Queen in the middle, following those Meteor Golems. And we have those tanks in front. The Dragon Duke is nearly unkillable in that combination. This is something which I really like about this, using him as a funnel. It's really hard for him to go down because he always has backup pretty much. There's always something around him, which means he can bounce in between when it comes down to tanking defenses. Now this one, the only thing which is close with this is just time. And that is the only reason because, well, we have lost the Rage Gem really early on. But otherwise, you can see why this strategy is a top 5 worthy strategy because, I mean, losing the Warden early instead of tripling, I don't think that too many strategies can actually do that out there. With that, Fireball Meteor Golems, the number 5. The number 4, actually, I have thought about many times switching it with the Meteor Golems or not, and we're talking about the Super Witches. This is pretty much the exact same copy of a strategy of the strategy which we have just played, which means you can just do it with Meteor Golems or with Super Witches. I think their strength is really, really similar, which means you can play either one. I just think right now the Super Witches, especially Legend modifier or lower, where the Super Witch, like the Giant Skeletons, are not getting bursted, Super Witches just are a little bit stronger because they're generating their own tanks. While in esports mode, I could see that Meteor Golems being a little bit stronger because the defense is dealing more damage, burning through the tanks from the Super Witches a little bit quicker, and that's the biggest difference here. Otherwise, the approach of those two strategies is the same. which means on both of those attacks, we're just using a Warden Walk to set up a Fireball to create pathing, and then have our main push in here. As well, you have multiple options now when it comes down to heroes, and this is something which you have to for sure keep in mind when playing in the current meta. We have right now one of the best metas we ever had, and what I mean by that is variety and flexibility when it comes down to equipments and troops. As I said, we can play pretty much the exact same strategy with either Meteor Golems or with the Super Witches. As well, we can switch around pets, heroes, etc. as we want. In this approach now, we have switched the position of the King and the Dragon Duke, which means this time around, we're sending the King more as a funnel and with the Super Witches, and have the Dragon Duke now on the back end, and this is why we're having the Angry Jelly over there. As well, when it comes down to equipments, if you're using the Barbarian King as a funnel like I'm doing right here, you can go as I'm doing right now with the Gauntlet and with the Stick Horse. But don't worry, if you're using the King on the side, like on the flank pretty much to funnel your troops, something completely fine is Snake Bracelet and Spiky Ball. This is the really cool thing right now. We have many options, many of them being equally strong. And this is really what this current meta is all about. Variety and options you have to choose from. Really good, really cool, and just amazing right now to actually attack because you have so many options. Now for the back end, we have the Dragon Duke here. I think the Dragon Duke with the Angry Jelly is just insane on the back end. But obviously it's losing some hit points. This is why I like to bring the Stun Blast. It's just the second best equipment right after the Heart for the Dragon Duke. It's just insane. The hit point recovery, the safety versus defending heroes and such with the stun, this makes this really the best combination. And obviously, I don't mind. Like, you can go with the flame fire thing equipment. It is just really not great. You can do whatever you want in the end. Totally up to you. But if you want to listen to the advice of an X rank 1, X Pro / whatever you want to name me, yeah, I would not use the flame thing right now. It's like for Clan Wars fancy stuff, okay. For Legends, nope. Don't do it. It will be a complete waste. But hey, that is the number 4 strategy, which is right now in the game. The number 3 one is going to be Dragon Riders. The strategy which stars right now is demolishing bases left and right. And now with the Dragon Duke, we have actually an upgrade of the strategy. Because what we have done so far is we set up the pathing for the Dragon Riders with the Roy Champion. Well, now we don't have to do that anymore. Instead, we have now a stronger hero for that, the Dragon Duke. Which means we pretty much just use the Dragon Duke to create funnel for the Dragon Riders, to start an entry point where we can have then Dragon Riders entering the base. As well, the interesting part is, and this is really how Stars plays it, he kind of plays this strategy as this would be a regular dragon attack, but he's choosing Dragon Riders because they're just stronger right now, because dragons have not their level just yet. What does this mean? It pretty much means that he is using dragons, he's using the Dragon Riders, Inferno Dragons, and the Minion Prince with the Warden all together, and he's using the Archer Queen to keep them together. This is as well where we do not have the Angry Jelly on the Minion Prince, but instead the Greedy Raven to make sure that everything can keep up with the only defense targeting Dragon Riders, and that's kind of the entire concept. So you can see we have funneled the bottom side next to where my Dragon Duke was, and then we have all the Dragon Riders going in. Now, let's talk a bit about the options you have when it comes down to spells, because you have seen probably a big rise with thumbnails about Revive Spell and such, and let's get this straight. Revive Spell is, and until it gets reworked, hopefully at some point, it always will be just a trash spell. It is an attack which makes your attack easier, but not better. This spell will always pop up if the game is easy. Do you remember back in time when we had the mass Revive Super Yeti attack strategy, and as soon as the modifier we had with the Old Legend modifier came into the game became harder and such, and it just disappeared? Well, that is exactly what is happening with the Revive spell. As soon as the game is challenging, you have to remove it because it's just a trash spell. It is just not good. It just makes things easier, not stronger in your favor. So you could use the Revive to maybe get the Dragon Duke back just because he's broken. That could work. But long form, if you really want to plan long form, this is not going to be the best way. The same thing with the Recall spell in this army composition is not really needed. Just sacrifice your Dragon Duke. He's going to create great funneling, and he's going to get a lot of value for your Dragon Riders, and they're going to finish the job. Finish the base easily, like right here, and just trust the process. That's pretty much it. With that out of the way, let's move on to the number 2 strategy. And that is the troop which has just been buffed so insane from Town of 17 to Town of 18. Nearly 1,000 hit points for Electro Dragons. Yep, no wonder that they're the number 2 strategy right now in the game. And all you have to do is put your Archer Queen and your Siege Barracks in one corner, on the other corner with the other Electro Dragons, and then just put everything in between. And the Dragon Duke, with how overpowered he is, just put him on the back end and you're going to be fine. The biggest thing you have to worry about is the Clan Castle. Since there are typically Ice Golems in there, or maybe a Lava Hound now versus the Throwers, make sure that you are using your Queen and your Siege Barracks as far away as possible from the Clan Castle. Which means you do not want to lure those Ice Golems out whatsoever. The Electro Dragons won't do so, so the only troops in this army which can actually do so is your Archer Queen, your Giant, or something like that. So try to avoid that Clan Castle side. Next one, just push into the core, use the Eternal whenever there's too much damage, otherwise try to get damage away from your Electro Dragons with the totems, and that's pretty much the entire thing you have to know about this strategy. The Dragon Duke, wait a little bit until you see where exactly your Electro Dragons are going, to make sure that you're deploying the Dragon Duke as far away as possible from every other air troop, so he's keeping his passive, which is pretty much everything about him. If you're able to do so, you will crush bases so easily. It is kind of insane. I'm quite a terrible Electro Dragon player. Like, I'm just not good with them. That's just how it is, right? But even I was able to go perfect multiple days with them, which is telling already a lot. I mean, that says already a lot about how strong Electro Dragons are right now. And yeah, it's Electro Dragon meta, baby. It is for sure. With that, next attack, next triple. But now, let's move on to the number 1 spot. And I think we have a positive problem over here, which is Throwers. Yes, they were nerfed, but hey, to be honest, 100 hit points, 10 DPS, who cares? They're still the number 1, but the problem I was talking about is they are possibly used in so many different ways. We have the Mass Thrower, which is just love totems and throwers. Then as well, we have the option and the version with the lightning then right here. And then there's a third option, which is using the fireball into throwers. All 3 options would be on their own on the number 1 spot. The question now is, which of those 3 is the best? Well, to be honest, I think it kind of depends on where you are within the legend rankings, I guess. I feel like the mass throwers are kind of easy in low to mid legends. They're working still in top legends, don't get me wrong, but I would say the type of strategies you defend, depending on your legend range, is a bit different. A mass thrower is getting baited sometimes with like springs and such. But at the end of the day, I would personally pick the fireball throwers. There's 2 reasons for this. The first reason is, with the latest update, we now have the Black Mine level. And if you followed my upgrade guide and actually upgrade them first, then you can actually now one-shot healers which are under the effect of the life gem, which so far was not possible, and one of the strongest things about the buffed life gem. You could not one-shot healers with a Black Mine. And that now is changed again. So as soon as people are upgrading those Black Mines and your healers are not safe anymore from a Black Mine, this value in life gem is nerfed a little bit. Don't get me wrong, it's still strong with the throwers, but the value is just a little lower. This is why, with only having the rage gem and the fireball, it's completely fine. You don't really need that life gem then anymore as much, because you're setting up the pathing and you're good to go with your main push. But again, life gem is completely fine, and as I said earlier, all those 3 options are really close in strength and are all getting used in the highest ranks, so you can use every single one of those strategies to get to that point. This is why I have linked all 3 of them in the description of this video, so you can copy them and try out what works best for you. What works best for you is again a really good point, because as well with this strategy, it is kind of what works best for you. If you have the snake bracelet and the spiky ball upgraded, go with that and really make sure that you're funneling your throwers. Again, I just like the stick horse because you can use it in creative ways like I'm doing right now, where you can send the king delayed for a core like that, or you can just do cool other stuff with him. And that's just something which I really enjoy about the equipment combination, because you have, in my opinion, just more choices. But with this one, the throwers are just going around the base, the core is gone, the king is jumping around, jumping over some walls, and then we have again the Dragon Duke on the back end. But this same approach, you could play the same as, for example, Name with his Meteor Golems, where he is playing the Dragon Duke as funnel and using the king then more as the flexible and on the back end hero. Again, it is personal preference, it is kind of what you're used to, it is what you prefer, but in the end, there's just a ton of viable strategies right now, and as well, ways on how you can play them. And back in the days, it was like, oh, I'm playing Fireball Super Witches. Well, nowadays, you have to ask, well, how do you play Fireball Super Witches? Because there's not just the difference between Fireball Super Witches, maybe Torch Super Witches, maybe, I don't know, Lightning Super Witches, whatever, but they're within those categories. Again, more categories. Okay, do you play Fireball Super Witches with Stick Horse, with the Spiky Ball Snake Bracelets? Do you play it with, I don't know, like Angry Jelly on the Dragon Duke? Do you play it on the King? Like, there are so many options now, and everything is viable. So find your way of playing those top strategies, because the troops, this is more what I kind of rank within the video. The strategies in themselves, you have to make sure that you adjust them in your way, that you find your best options. Otherwise, let me know. Would you agree with this ranking? Would you disagree? What would you change if you would change anything? Otherwise, I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next Clash video. Until then, see ya, and bye-bye.